What makes ordinary men become Nazis? Take a look at this clip over here, this classic clip from Jordan Peterson, where he talks about this with his class. So we'll watch this clip together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
There's a book called Ordinary Men that's a lot like that. I don't think I've mentioned that to you before, but Ordinary Men is a book about, it's the best book of its type. Maybe it's the only book of its type. It's possible, but it's plotted much like Breaking Bad in some sense. It's a story about these German policemen in the early stages of World War II. And they were guys who were old enough to be raised in Germany really before the Hitlerian propaganda came out in full force. You know, if you were a teenager, say in the 1930s, you were going to be pulled right into the propaganda machine, and maybe you were part of the Hitler Youth, and like you were raised in that, you know. But if you were older, then you were raised before that, and you're not as amenable to propaganda once you're older than about, well, I would say about 22 or something like that. It's pretty young, actually. If you're going to make a soldier, you have to get a soldier young, because once people are in their early 20s, say, they already have their personality developed. Anyways, these policemen were sent into Poland after the Germans marched through, and you know, it was wartime, and there was this hypothesis in Germany that the Jews in particular were operating as a fifth column and undermining the German war effort, because of course the Germans blamed the Jews and a variety of other people for actually setting up the conditions that made the war necessary. And so when the police were sent into Poland, they were also required to make peace, roughly speaking. And so they started out by rounding up all the Jewish men between 18 and 65 and gathering them in stadiums and then shipping them off on the trains. But that isn't where they ended. They ended in a very, very dark place. I mean, these guys were going out in the field with naked pregnant women and shooting them in the back of the head by the end of their training. And what's really interesting about that is that their commander told them that they could go home at any time. So this is not one of those examples of people following orders. And the reason they didn't, roughly speaking, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons they didn't is because they didn't think it was comradely, so to speak, to leave the guys they were working with to do all the dirty work and run off. You know, and that's really an interesting fact, you know, because in different circumstances, you wouldn't think about that as reprehensible, right? You'd think, well, that's part of teamwork and under rough circumstances, and that's at least in part how they viewed it. And they were also made physically ill multiple times, physically and psychologically ill by the things that they had to do, but they kept doing them anyways. So it's one step at a time, and that's the thing, is that you end up in very bad places one step at a time, so you've got to watch those steps.
Jewish tradition teaches us how the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, actually works. First it tells you to do this, then it tells you to do that, and then eventually it tells you to worship idols. It doesn't start by telling you to worship idols. It goes in small increments until you are completely falling off the cliff. The Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, doesn't start by dragging you off the cliff. It walks you down the stairs. Now compare that to Jordan Peterson, who says that people don't wake up one morning and decide they're going to be Nazis. It's one step at a time, going down the wrong path, small moral compromises day by day until you wind up completely on the wrong side of history. You know, it's the same idea across time and across cultures. Evil very rarely shows up with horns, wearing horns. It whispers to you, it justifies, it persuades in increments. Think about the Nazis. Okay, ordinary people. These are not monsters. These are ordinary people like you and I. They enabled these horrors, not because they love evil, but because they failed to resist the little wrongs, the small wrongs, going just beyond their comfort zone in the wrong direction. The Torah teaches that the way to fight this is daily moral awareness. Catch the drift before it becomes the current is the message of the Torah. And Jordan Peterson echoes this as well when he tells you, like, when he guides people, young men especially, to do little things right on a daily basis. Tell the truth, stand up straight, make your bed. It's not trivial. It's groundwork for resisting tyranny, to making yourself into a person that resists these small increments into the wrong direction. And this is why Judaism encourages also daily mitzvahs, daily commandments, daily Torah study. It's a spiritual immune system against a slow creep down the path of corruption. What's the bottom line? Whether we're talking about Jewish tradition or clinical psychology, the message is clear. If you don't take your small choices in life seriously, they're going to eventually make you into someone that you don't recognize. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.